Gwen and Chad were walking back home when they saw Phoebe and two other guys coming down from Claudia's. "Is that who I think it is?" Chad asked. "What is she doing in Mom's car, and who are those people?" Gwen asked. The two of them went to approach Claudia. They greeted her, and they could see the anger in her eyes. Who allowed Phoebe to go out all alone? I. Chad was speechless. He didn't understand how she left the house. It was then he remembered that this was their plan. "I have told you two to watch over her. Do you know how dangerous the world is? What if something had happened to her, or she got eaten up by a wild beast? We are sorry," they apologized. "We will be more careful," Chad said, giving Phoebe a stern look. Phoebe couldn't even raise her head to look at them because she knew they would be furious, especially Chad, who she could feel his eyes sending daggers at her. Mom." Gwen looked at the two guys. "Zrania, they are Phoebe's friends." Chad and Gwen looked at each other, then at Phoebe. "They are your friends?" Chad asked. "Since when?" "That is exactly what we will find out when we get inside." They were about to go in when Phoebe pulled the two guys back. You guys should go in. We will be in soon." Gwen and Chad knew there was something up, but they didn't say anything. Phoebe breathed out a sigh of relief as she turned the two guys to face her. "I am going to ask you both to do me a huge favor." Lucas and the prince stared at her, but didn't say anything, and that made her continue talking. "Your name is Eric." She pointed at Prince Edward. "And your name is Damien." She pointed at Lucas. "We met each other 6 months ago, but you guys traveled, and now you are back to stay for good." "Phoebe, Mom wants you and the guys inside," shouted Gwen from the top of the house. "We will be in soon," Phoebe yelled back. She turned and pleaded with the guys to play along. "Please do this for me. I will do anything you wish. Just help me out on this, please." "Are you out of your mind? You should have thought about all these before saying we are friends. This is your problem. Face it." The prince was about to leave, but Lucas stopped him. "It's just a one-time favor. I believe she can be of help." Lucas whispered into his ears. "Am not sure about that. I mean, look at her. What can she possibly help us with?" the prince asked, staring at Phoebe from head to toes. "I don't know what you both are glamoring about, but if it is about me, I can say, am very helpful." Lucas stared at the prince, hoping he would just play along. It was getting late, and they needed a place to spend the night. "Fine, but just this once." Phoebe was so happy that she hugged them. "I will never forget this. Let's go in, shall we?" They entered the house. It was surprise to them when they saw that food was ready. "Why don't we have that over lunch?" She gestured for them to sit in front of her. Chad and Gwen were beside Claudia while Phoebe sat down beside the two guys. Gwen dished out the macaroni to everyone and added sauce on top. "What did Waibu guys say your names are again?" Claudia asked. "I am Damien," Lucas answered. Everyone turned to look at Prince Edward. Phoebe couldn't tell how many times she prayed that he would play along. "My name is Eric," he answered. "Well, Eric and Damien, how long do you know my daughter?" "Say 6 months," Lucas answered. "And who is she to you?" "She's a good friend," Lucas answered. Claudia directed her eyes to the prince since he hasn't said a word. "What about you, Eric?" Prince Edward looked at her. "She's, a crazy youngster I just met." If he said this, Lucas would be unhappy with him, so he said, like Damien said, "She's a good friend." Chad's eyes were fixed on Phoebe, and Phoebe made sure not to make eye contact with him because he could tell she was lying. "So what are you guys doing here?" Chad asked, folding his arms to hear their story. "We are looking for an apartment since we just recently relocated down here. There's a vacant house just beside us. You guys can check it out tomorrow," Gwen answered. "Seriously?" Chad said while looking at her. "What?" It was this time Phoebe wished the ground would open and swallow her. Just when she thought she was finally getting rid of them, Gwen had to say this. "I can help you guys with the house tomorrow if you want." Chad didn't even know whether to be angry at her or just leave the table, but he needed to find out if they were telling the truth. "Well, thanks for offering. If that's okay with you, Mrs. Claudia." "Mrs. Claudia, I would ask that you permit them to help us with the house tomorrow." "Sure," she answered them with a smile. "Since that's settled, let's eat." Everyone took their cutleries and started eating. A few hours after they were done, it was time for them to say their goodbyes. "Thank you so much," Phoebe whispered to them. "Wait," Gwen said. "You guys said you needed an apartment to stay in. Do you have a place to spend the night?" Phoebe had to clench her hand into a fist. What the hell is she doing, for heaven's sake? Does she know I am trying to get rid of them? Claudiade came to meet them. "That's true. Do you guys have where to spend the night?" "Good going, Gwen," Phoebe's mind screamed. We were looking for a house when you met us, but because of the whole thing, we couldn't," Lucas explained. "We do have a room that hasn't been used in a while. We don't want to be much of a burden to you. You've given us food and now a roof over our head. That's a whole lot. A friend of my children is part of the family. Besides, it's just for the night." Without waiting for them to respond, she told Chad to get the room cleaned up for them. "Follow me." Chad gestured to them, and they followed him into the room. When they entered inside, he locked the door and took the key. "Now tell me, who the hell are you guys? And don't tell me you are Phoebe's friends, 'cause I'll know you guys aren't." "So who do you think we are?" "I don't cow. That is for you, to tell me and me to find out." He answered, "Are your names Eric and Damien?" "Listen, Chad, I am exhausted as it is, so if you don't mind, we can do this later. Just know this, I'm watching you, and until I find out who you guys are, I won't rest." He unlocked the door. "I am sure you guys can arrange the room yourselves," he said, before leaving. Lucas quickly locked the door. "Geez, that guy just scared the shit out of me." "You wanted this, right?" Prince Edward told him. "Come on, if we hadn't agreed to do it, we won't have a roof over our head right now." "We could have rented an apartment for the night." "Yes, we could, but this is free. We didn't get to pay for the food or anything. Let's be thankful to the guardians that we found favor in the sight of these people." "Whatever. This is the last time I am doing such a thing." They arranged the room and were ready to sleep. The prince was about to take off his clothes when he noticed something was missing. He searched his pockets, his bag, but he couldn't find it. Lucas see him searching through the bags and asked him what was wrong, and the prince answered, "The amulet is gone." Lucas froze. "The amulet is gone, Luke. I can't find it." The prince panicked. "This is not good. Have any idea where you think you might have lost it?" Prince Edward shook his head. "I can't remember. I thought I had it with me all through." "Do you think it might have fallen when you and Phoebe crashed into each other?" Prince Edward thought, but he wasn't sure. "I don't know, Luke." Lucas could see he was panicking, so he went and cajoled him. "We will search for it tomorrow, but right now, we both need to get enough sleep. We have a lot to do tomorrow." "How can I sleep when—" "I told you we'll look for it tomorrow. I promise." The prince finally agreed to get Somne sleep and deal with the problem tomorrow, although it took him a long time before he could go to bed. Phoebe was in the room with Chad and Gwen. They placed her on a hot seat where she had to answer all their questions. She saw this coming, and she was prepared to lie to them, but she had to make sure she tells the guys about it tomorrow so they will be able to play along as well. "I told you I met them 6 months ago," she said for the 20th time. "Where did you meet them? Did you meet them as a group, or was it that you met one first and the other introduced you to the other?" Phoebe almost laughed at the question, but she knew if she did, Chad would be mad at her. "I have no issue that they are here or that you knew them, but why would you keep such a thing from me?" Do you know how long I've been waiting for handsome guys like that to just appear in front of me? Well, I've made your imagination come true. Have you girls lost it? Chad asked, and the two girls kept quiet. She just said they are friends, let it be. Don't you think you are overreacting? Gwen asked. I am overreacting, Chad asked in disbelief. He turned to face Phoebe and said, If I find out that this is nothing but a lie, just know it's over. He stood up and left them. Phoebe called him several times, but he didn't turn back and went to bed. Phoebe bowed her head in defeat. I wasn't expecting this. Leave him alone. It is obvious he is jealous. Jealous of what? You are too young to understand. I am 18. Does that mean you're old? Enough to understand, yes, Phoebe answered, and they both laughed. Tell me how you met them the first time. Phoebe coughed. She was just meeting them for the first time today. How was she going to make it sound and seem like she has known them for 6 months, she thought, and she just had to sugarcoat every word. So I met Damien first. It was at the park. I was thinking of how my 18th birthday would turn out when he came to me. He was nice to me, and he promised to be present on my 18th birthday, but he didn't show up. So what about Eric? Eric? She was already detesting the guy, so she tried to make it seem she and Eric weren't close to each other. I met him one afternoon when wanted to get things for Mom. He was rude to me, and honestly, I don't like him. I was shocked today when I found out he and Damien knew each other. I like Eric more, though. She winked at Phoebe. What about Chad? Phoebe asked, but she didn't answer and went to bed. Come on, you will choose Eric over Chad. Yeah, if only Chad is ready to reciprocate the feelings. Good night. Remember, we'll be helping them to get a house. You go, I am not going anywhere, Phoebe answered and went to bed too. We'll find out if you will go or not. I am not going, Gwen. You will do this on your own. We will just have to see. Phoebe waited for Gwen to sleep before she brought out her amulet. She was still shocked at what happened earlier today when she touched it. She didn't want to go with them tomorrow because she wanted to ask Claudia some questions, and she wanted to do that when no one is home. I'll guess I will find out what you are. She wore it around her neck and went back to sleep. Chloe was having an argument with Zinnia based on who Lucas likes more. She even caught the attention of the guards and other maidens. No matter what you do, Zinnia, you'd never win his heart. I don't understand why you are pushing this matter too far. I mean, don't you believe you could win his heart? Chloe looked surprised at her answer. If you know you are capable of winning Lucas's heart, you won't be causing nuisance and ranting, but obviously, you don't have what it takes. And that's why you see me as a threat and a rival. But the truth is that Lucas can never fall in love with you. What did you say? Before Zinnia knew what was up, a slap landed on her face. Without wasting much time, Zinnia slapped her back. I warned you not to lay your hands on me. I don't throw myself around guys as you do. How many guys has it been, Do you want me to say it? Chloe didn't say anything but was rubbing her cheek, which had turned red. Next time you double-cross me in this palace, believe me, Chloe, you'd wish you never met me. And she left. Irawan looked at Chloe's. Some laughed, others commented on who was more savage, and others talked about who was right or wrong. What are you all waiting for? Get lost! Chloe pursued them all, and this made them make fun of her. I think you'd never get married with this attitude of yours. One of the guards said, but Chloe rolled her eyes at him and left. We'll make sure you pay for humiliating me, Zinnia. The battle line has been drawn. Author's Note 1. Who do you think Lucas would fall in love with? Chloe, Zinnia, Gwen, or Phoebe too? Who do you want him to fall in love with? The following morning, Lucas and Prince Edward woke up early to prepare themselves for the task ahead. It was 6 in the morning, and they thought about leaving, but they felt it was weird to leave when everyone was in bed, so they waited. Around 8 a.m., Gwen was the first to wake up. She had her bath and went down to prepare breakfast. She was surprised when she saw Lucas and the prince in the sitting room. "Didn't you guys like the room?" she asked. "We did. We are an early riser. It's part of us," Lucas explained. "Oh, I see. Anyways, I will be making breakfast, and after that we can leave." She went to the kitchen. "What about Phoebe? Isn't she coming with us?" "Her?" she asked with a smile when she remembered what happened. Flashback. Gwen's POYI was disturbed by the alarm clock that kept ringing. I grudgingly stood up and went to wake Phoebe, but she was sleeping like a dead dog. I left her and went to the bathroom after having my bath. Elle came out to get dressed and was unknown to Phoebe that I had already caught her staring at me before looking away, but I pretended not to notice and went on searching for clothes to wear. I got the dress and Phoebe was still in bed, pretending to be sleeping. "Phoebe," I called, and when there was no reply, I left the room with a smile on my face, because I knew what her plan was and wouldn't let it work. Reality. "Don't worry about her. She is coming with us." "What's for breakfast?" Prince Edward asked. "Pancakes." There was silence in the kitchen when Chad came to meet them. "Hello to the guys that are pretending to be Phoebe's friends," he greeted with a fake smile on his face. "Come on, Chad. It's too early for this," Gwen cautioned. "Fine." He rolled his eyes at them before grabbing his apron so he could assist Gwen in the cooking. Chad kept giving them weird looks any time their eyes met his. "Concentrate on what you're doing, will you?" Gwen tried to take off the frying, but Chad wouldn't let her. "I will do it." "Fine. I will go and wake Phoebe." She removed her apron and went to the room. Phoebe was awake. She was dancing with excitement at the thought that she had fooled Gwen, and she wouldn't be allowed to go with them. The moment she heard footsteps coming nearer, she bounced on her bed and pretended to be asleep. The door opened and Gwen came in. "She's still sleeping," she said, going to the bathroom to get a bowl of water. Phoebe was peeping at her, and when Gwen brought the water close and was about to pour it on her, Phoebe stood up. "What are you trying to do?" she asked. "Oh, you are awake now." She returned the bowl of water to the bathroom. "Wait, you were going to pour that on me?" "It's the only way to prove if you were awake or dead." She turned to leave. "Get dressed and come down for breakfast. We are about to leave." "But," Gwen glared at her and she kept her mouth shut. She opened the door and left. Phoebe entered the bathroom and got ready to leave. Claudia was in her room, sitting on her when she thought about everything that had happened. It was time she told Phoebe the truth about her birth. It would be weird if she heard it from someone else and not her. She had no idea how she'd react, but it was something that was going to happen nevertheless. She had her bath and got dressed to meet them when there was a knock at the door. She opened it and saw everyone. "What's going on?" she asked. "We want to help the guys with the house. We came to let you know that breakfast is ready too." Her eyes caught that of Phoebe, and she turned to ask Gwen, "LS Phoebe going?" Gwen looked at Phoebe and nodded. "She won't be going with you today," Claudia answered, and everyone was shocked. Lucas was afraid that the reason was because of them, so he asked her, "Is this because of us?" Claudia shook her head. "Just want to be with her today." Phoebe was happy, and when she saw that Gwen's countenance had changed, she stuck out her tongue at her, but Gwen was quick to grab it. "Girls, stop," Claudia told them. Gwen set Phoebe's tongue free. "Enjoy your stay," she told Phoebe, who was shaking her body. "We will get going." Claudia nodded as they took their leave. Phoebe entered inside, and Claudia gestured for her to sit on the bed with her, which she did. Phoebe took some time to study Claudia's face, and she could tell she was sad, so she asked, "Is everything okay?" Claudia nodded with a smile. She placed her palms on Phoebe's palm and rubbed them gently. "Phoebe, You know I love you, right? Phoebe nodded. Is everything okay? And I'd never do anything to hurt you. Phoebe was becoming uncomfortable. Mom, what's wrong? You are scaring me. After answering the question, tears rolled down Claudia's cheeks, and this made Phoebe suspect something was wrong. Something Claudia wasn't ready to spill, but she gave her up. She took Claudia's palms and rubbed her palms with them and said, I want you to know that you can tell me anything and everything, Mother. Claudia looked at her with teary eyes. Where is your amulet? I removed it while Elle was bathing, and I was too lazy to put it on, so it's here in my pocket. I was even going to ask about it. What I am about to tell you, it's about your amulet and how you have it. Phoebe brought out her amulet and gave it to her. Claudia looked at the amulet, then at Phoebe, and said, You are a supernatural being, Phoebe. In you lies the guardian's blood running through your veins. Phoebe froze before bursting into laughter. She tried so hard to be respectful and not laugh about it, but it felt strange to her. She thought Claudia was joking and would laugh too, but when her face revealed she was serious, she stopped laughing. She looked at her amulet, and immediately a light of purple glowed from it, and the amulet moved from Claudia's hand to Phoebe's neck. Claudia was shocked to see it happen. Phoebe couldn't believe her eyes. The moment the amulet fits perfectly on her neck, her body started glowing with purple light around her. Slowly, the purple lights turned into a purple blazing fire, and Claudia had to remove the amulet from her neck. Everything became normal, and the amulet returned to its original color. Phoebe didn't know why, but at that moment she felt different. It was like something entered into her and has refused to leave. Her heart was beating fast, and when she looked at the amulet again in Claudia's hands, the amulet moved to her neck, but remained in its original color. Do you believe me now? How is this possible? Do you, Gwen and Chad? Claudia shook her head. I am not your real mother, Phoebe. What? I am neither the mother of Chad nor Gwen. She paused to wait for her response, but Phoebe was too dumbfounded to speak.
To be continued. Don't forget to follow us for more.